You close the last light, but leave the hallway lamp on. Not because you need to see, but because silence without glow feels like falling into something bottomless. The bed sighs beneath you. You pull the quilt over knees that ache not from age but from memory. You haven't spoken to anyone since afternoon. The air in the room carries the faint smell of lavender and something older. Maybe the past, maybe dust, maybe both. You glance at the empty pillow beside you, then look away. You don't cry. You haven't cried in weeks. But your chest feels heavy, as if sorrow lies just beneath your lungs. You're not sad, you think, just tired of hearing nothing when you most want someone to answer back. You hear it, not aloud, but in that sacred way memory repeats itself like a hymn. Your mother's voice, gentle, lined with weariness, whispering from the next room. Fear not, for he is with you. You were 8, too scared to sleep. She tucked the blanket under your chin, rested her palm on your head, and sang, "What time I am afraid I will trust in thee." Back then, you believed without question. Jesus was real and close and near the nightlight. Now it's harder. You still want to trust. But age teaches hesitation. Yet, in this stillness, that old lullaby reaches you. And strangely, your chest softens, as if the Jesus from back then hasn't gone far at all, just quieter, just waiting. You did everything today. Paid bills, checked the locks, watered the violets. You smiled for the delivery man, laughed politely on the phone. But now, with no one to distract you, the questions rise. What if something happens at night? What if no one finds you? What if the ache in your shoulder isn't just from old age? Your mind plays doctor, preacher, and worrier all at once. You rub your wrists, try to pray, but the words don't come. Only fragments, like "Lord, be near." And then nothing. Not absence, but not peace either. Fear, quiet and steady, sits next to you like an uninvited guest that refuses to leave. You exhale and hope he's still listening. You remember the story. The disciples, the storm, waves crashing while Jesus sleeps. You've always wondered, how did they feel watching the sky collapse and seeing him still resting? You imagine yourself in that boat now, tossed by doctor visits, adult children who no longer check in the haunting quiet of an empty house. You picture him there, back turned, eyes closed. You want to shake him awake, not in anger, but in desperation. Don't you care? You whisper it now beneath your breath, and somehow admitting it doesn't feel wrong, just real. Because even faith trembles sometimes. Even love has questions. You wait, eyes closed, and wonder if he'll stir again. Your heartbeat feels too loud, as if your chest has become a drum. You lie still, but the air presses in, not heavy, but thick with memory. You think about the time you didn't say goodbye, the time you waited too long to forgive, the argument that ended without grace. Fear isn't just about dying. It's about unfinished words, unlived moments, things left on the table you can't go back and touch. You shift under the quilt cold, even though the room is warm. Maybe you're not afraid of sleep. Maybe you're afraid of what you'll remember in your dreams. The mind doesn't lie at night, and neither does the soul. You close your eyes, then open them again, because peace still feels like a stranger. You are there. The wind grabs your hair, whips your shawl into your face. You're in the boat. The Sea of Galilee rises like something alive. Men shout. Water soaks your dress. And he sleeps. Not out of apathy, but perfect calm. You shout his name. He stands, turns toward you slowly, as if he already heard. Rain streams down his face. He says nothing to you, only looks, then turns to the waves. Peace, be still. And the storm obeys. The water quiets like a child scolded in love. You feel the echo in your bones. And for a moment, your body rests too. Not because the fear is gone, but because someone stronger is now standing beside it. You reach for your phone, scroll past pictures of vacations you barely remember, people you don't talk to anymore. You check the weather, rearrange your nightstand, fluff the pillow again. Distraction is mercy. It helps you forget that the silence is alive. But eventually, even the screen goes dim, and you're back in this room, this bed, this breath. You whisper Jesus, not to command, just to remind yourself he might still be listening. You count the seconds between the heater clicking on and off. Try not to count the days you've gone without really praying. You're not angry at him, just unsure how to begin again. There's a shift, not wind, not sound, just warmth like sunlight through curtains long drawn. You turn toward the chair by the window, and though you see no one, you feel him. The kind of presence you can't argue with. Not imagined, not forced, real. There's no speech, no miracle, just company. You feel the air calm. Your hands stop fidgeting. He doesn't scold the fear. He sees it and stays. That's all. No answer, just attendance. He sits quiet as breath, and your soul still shaking finds its way toward stillness. Because someone else is awake tonight, and he doesn't leave. You notice it the way your chest rises, slower, deeper, like someone let go of a rope tied around your lungs. You stretch your legs beneath the blanket. The hallway light glows behind the door, but the fear that begged it stay on feels smaller now. You don't feel brave. You don't feel healed. But you feel noticed. And somehow that's enough. You don't need a sign. You just needed the silence to stop being empty. Now it's filled with someone's breath other than yours. And that in the dark is holy. You remember again the story. And this time you picture him staying in the boat. Not rising, not calming, just staying. Because sometimes peace doesn't come in waves of power. Sometimes it's found in shared presence. Your eyes close. Your breath slows. The storm isn't gone, but he's still here. And somehow that's louder than the fear. You drift not into sleep, but into surrender, into mercy, into him. He does not leave. He does not need to speak. He simply remains. And in that stillness, so do you. You don't plan to think about it. But night always opens doors memory keeps shut during the day. You lie still and the shadows come not monsters, just moments. Old fights. A letter never sent. Words you regret the most aren't the ones you said, but the ones you never found the courage to speak. You turn your face into the pillow. It smells faintly like your old lotion. Familiar things should comfort you. But tonight, they just remind you of who you used to be, who you tried to be, and who you never quite became. You whisper again, not asking for help this time, just stating the truth, I don't like remembering. But the past doesn't ask permission. It comes anyway. You see her sitting in the corner with a worn Bible on her lap. Your grandmother never went a day without Psalm 7. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? She used to say it like it was breath, not verse. You didn't understand back then, but her face shone when she said his name. Jesus. As if she knew him not the way sermons talk about him, but really. Now you wonder what that kind of knowing costs. Maybe time, maybe pain, or maybe just staying close when everyone else leaves. You miss her tonight, and somehow in the ache, he feels near again. Not loud, not speaking, just remembered and real. Even after all these years, it comes back. That one night, that one conversation, or the silence that followed it. You tell yourself it wasn't all your fault. People make choices. But inside, something twists every time you replay it. You press your hands together. Not to pray, just to hold something steady. It wasn't a sin, you say. It was just a mistake. But you keep paying for it in memory. You've forgiven others easier than you've forgiven yourself. You wonder if God sees that. If he understands how hard it is to let go of what feels like yours to carry. You close your eyes and say the only word that feels true right now. Sorry. You picture him in the courtyard, cold night, shame louder than the rooster. The one who said he'd never turn away and did. You feel like him sometimes, not because you cursed his name, but because you stopped answering. You stopped showing up. You drifted. Church felt hollow. Prayers felt like echoes. You didn't leave faith, you just stopped leaning on it. You remember the way Peter wept, not because he was caught, but because he still loved him. You get that now. The guilt of still loving Jesus while feeling unworthy to say his name. You whisper it anyway, Jesus. And the shame doesn't vanish, but it doesn't crush you either. You carry it quietly. The decisions made in fear. The moments you let pride speak instead of love. No one sees the full weight, not even those closest to you. You've become skilled at hiding it behind chores, good intentions, polite laughter. But inside, you wonder what your life would have looked like if you had trusted more sooner. You don't need a do-over. You just want to know it wasn't all wasted. That God can still work through things even when they weren't done right. You rest your palm over your heart. It beats steady. And you wonder if redemption feels like this quiet, hidden still forming even in the dark. The fire crackles. You smell the smoke, the warmth, the tension. Peter looks up, and there he is, Jesus, cooking breakfast, saying nothing yet, just letting the scent of grace fill the air. You walk into that scene. Feel your own shame rise thick in your throat. You wait for a rebuke. But he doesn't offer one. Only bread, fish, and eyes that do not accuse. Only invite. He doesn't explain pain. He redeems it. In the smallest, gentlest ways. Not with thrones, but with firewood and food. You stay there, unworthy. But somehow not unwanted, and that moment begins to soften something you thought would never move. It comes fast. The memory, the one that always tightens your breath, You flinch even now, though the moment is years gone. You sit up straighter, try to shake it off, but your body still remembers what your mouth won't say. Not all pain is spoken. Some is stored. In shoulder blades, in the way your voice wavers, in the way you avoid your reflection at night. You wonder if God notices the pain you've never described, if He only heals what's confessed, or if He's already at work in the places you still can't name. You breathe deep, just once, and hope that counts as prayer. He's here. You don't see Him. But it's the same weight in the air as before, not pressure, but presence. He sits beside you, not like a vision, more like memory made solid. You don't speak. There's nothing you know how to say. But He does. He says your name, not loudly, not urgently, just tender, and then nothing. No explanation, no correction. Just the words you didn't expect I know. Not I forgive. Not you should have, just understanding. And somehow it's more healing than all the sermons you've ever heard. You didn't notice how tight your body was until it began to release. Your fingers uncurl. Your jaw relaxes. For the first time all night, your breath comes without effort. You're still not sure you deserve this comfort, but it doesn't seem to care. It just covers you, like a quilt pulled up by unseen hands. You don't know what tomorrow holds, but tonight isn't ruled by fear or failure, just presence and peace. You exhale through your nose, eyes closed. You don't need to speak. You've already been heard. He doesn't flinch, not at your story, not at your shame, not at the years you wasted. He stays, and not as judge, but as friend. You sit together in the stillness. No angels, no signs, just Him and you. And for the first time in a long time, you believe it might be true. He is not ashamed of you, not even a little. Your past is not too much. Your silence hasn't scared Him off. He knew the worst, and came anyway. That's who He is. That's who sits beside you now. And that's why you can finally rest. The darkness no longer frightens you. It hasn't changed. But you have. You sit beneath the covers and feel the hush, not as danger, but as shelter. No alarms ring. No heartbeats race. The silence that once echoed with your failures now hums with stillness, full, not empty. You think about everything that hurt today. The tension in your shoulders, the ache behind your eyes. They're still there, but they're no longer the loudest part of you. You rest your head back. No revelation came. Just presence. Just peace. And maybe that's more than enough. Maybe this is what it means to be held. Your sister used to hum it softly in the hospital bed. Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Even near death, her voice didn't shake. She didn't talk about miracles. She talked about mercy. Now, lying in your own bed, you remember it. The way she'd breathe through pain with music instead of complaint. You hum it, too, cracked low, uncertain, but somehow it steadies you. Not because you believe like she did, but because Jesus still moves through the echoes of others. He was in her voice. He is in your memory. And even now, in the quiet left behind, He is still singing. You think about it more now, not with fear, but with quiet curiosity. What does heaven sound like at night? Does it hush like this? Does it wait with you when you're tired, not from work, but from worry? You imagine streets of gold, but you'd trade that for a chair beside a Savior who doesn't ask questions, just listens. You wonder if the souls already there ever feel what you feel now, a breath of peace after years of holding it in. You don't need answers. You just hope it feels like this, like nothing is expected of you anymore, like everything has already been carried by someone who doesn't walk away. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't call out his name. She just reached. And that's what you're doing tonight. No speeches, no performance, just a reach. You picture her trembling, ignored for years, pushing through crowds. Not bold, just desperate. You know that desperation, the kind that aches quietly under good manners. And then he turns, not to expose, but to affirm. Daughter. He called her. You breathe in deep, hoping for the same glance, the same pause, the same healing without explanation. Because tonight you're the one reaching, and he is still the same. You thought faith meant being strong, holding it together, smiling even when the soul breaks in half. But tonight something shifted. You told him everything, and nothing shattered. The sky didn't darken, the ground didn't split. In fact, your chest felt lighter. It turns out Jesus never asked you to pretend. He doesn't need the cleaned up version. He sees the mess and stays anyway. Now, you lie here pillow damp from the earlier tears. Not embarrassed, relieved. Because hiding is exhausting, and you don't want to pretend anymore. He knows, and he doesn't look away. You stand in a crowded place. Jerusalem heat, feet kicking up dust. Everyone's talking, pulling, demanding. But he sees you, just you. You don't speak, you can't. The words died years ago. But he steps toward you. The noise fades. Your eyes meet. And suddenly the world feels quiet. His gaze says what no sermon ever could. I see your whole life, and I stay. There's no miracle here. Not yet. Just this moment. This sacred, still second where shame lifts and your soul believes he knows your name. He knew you'd be here tonight. And he's not in a hurry. It's the same room, same light, same worn Bible on the nightstand. But it doesn't feel hollow. Not anymore. Because silence, when filled with love, is a sanctuary. You're not afraid of the stillness now. You lean into it. Like a child leans into their mother's side, not because words are spoken, but because presence is enough. You didn't know quiet could feel safe. Like a whisper from heaven that says you're not forgotten. The wind nudges the curtain gently, and you smile. Not at anything, just because you finally feel okay. You dream, but it feels more real than waking. You're sinking, slowly, not in panic, but surrender. Then you feel it. A hand, strong, scarred, soft, closing around your wrist. He doesn't pull you violently. Just enough. Enough to say, I've got you. You look up, and there he is. Not floating, not shining, just standing, firm, holding you. He doesn't speak. His grip is the message. Steady, sure. You close your eyes in the dream, and even in sleep, your body relaxes. You're not falling anymore. You're being held. You feel it. That gentle slide toward rest. The tension in your legs releasing. Your fingers no longer clutching the edge of the blanket. Your heartbeat, once a drum of fear, now a rhythm of surrender. You feel no urgency, no guilt. No should have prayed more. Just grace. Unspoken. Unmeasured. Real. This is what mercy sounds like, the hush of heaven leaning close, saying nothing, changing everything. You're no longer waiting for peace. You're in it. And it has room for you to sleep. The room dims. Even your thoughts slow. You don't remember the last thing you said, but you feel it, his presence still near. Not hovering, not departing, just staying. He doesn't need to leave when you sleep, he remains. And though your dreams may wander, though the world will turn through night's quiet hours, he stays until the morning light, until your eyes open again, until you remember, even before you remember your own name, that you are not alone. He is here. He always was. And that's the last thought you take with you into sleep, into mercy, into him. Pray for the night when fear won't let you rest. God, I don't even know what I need right now. I just know I'm tired of being afraid. And I want to believe you're still here even in this. Please don't go quiet on me. Please don't let me sleep alone tonight. Amen. You can stop reaching now. The reaching was enough. He saw it. And he's still here. Let your hands unclench. Let your chest rise and fall without pressure. The silence around you is no longer hollow. It's been filled by breath, by memory, by mercy. You don't need to explain what you've carried all this time. He already saw it, and he didn't flinch. You were not too much. You were never too late. You don't have to be strong before you close your eyes. You only have to be honest. And tonight you were. So now rest, not because you've earned peace, but because peace was always waiting for you to stop running. Somewhere near your pillow in the hush between heartbeats, he is still sitting beside you. And he's not leaving. If this moment met you where you needed, if something in your soul loosened just enough to breathe again, then stay close. You're not alone. Not now. Not later. Not ever. Subscribe to keep his voice within reach when yours is too weary to speak. Share this with someone who might be afraid to sleep tonight, someone who needs to remember they don't have to hold it all alone. And if you feel safe to do so, I would be honored to hear your story in the comments. What fear have you quietly carried that you now feel ready to let him hold your scene? You're safe. You're not forgotten. Let that be the last thing you hear tonight.